Welcome to the 2023 FIBA Women's Asia Cup in Sydney, Australia. Japan, who are on the hunt for a sixth straight title, are going up against emerging force Chinese Taipei. I'm Julia Montesano, and joining me in commentary is FIBA expert Mark Clark. Mark, it's a tough challenge today for Chinese Taipei, but great to see both teams on the floor for the first time in the Asia Cup.
Well, I think both teams will be really pleased to be on the floor for the first time. Nothing worse than waiting for the start of a tournament. You just need to get that nervous energy out of the way. And as you said, Chinese Taipei are in that slot where, you know, they're going to break into the top four. Are they going to retain their position in the middle of this, sixth last time? But it's a tough ask against a Japanese team that defending champions, been so successful in recent years. You know, one of the most favorite teams for people to watch because of the style that they've developed over the last, let's just say, a decade.
You can see in the FIBA World Rankings, Japan ranked 9th, so a very healthy ranking for them, and Chinese Taipei 33rd, and then rounding out the group, Australia ranked 3rd and Philippines 42nd. So they'll play after tonight's game, so we're a part of a double-header in the night slot here in Sydney. So we're getting ready to roll. It's a good crowd piling in. It's been a good crowd so far for the first two games today. The Australians have come out in force, and all the nations have come out in force to support their teams as well. So that's been fantastic to see. So we look at the Chinese Taipei coming out now. They finished 6th in their past two Asia Cups tournaments. They have two tough tasks today against Japan and then tomorrow against Australia, Mark. So how do they approach this game? How do they get their tournament off to a good start?
Well, I think the most important thing, Julia, is they've got to decide. They've got to pick their poison in terms of Japan. If they run up and down with Japan, they're going to struggle because Japan have so many weapons. So from a perspective of, are they going to offer Japan a half-court game? Are they going to just offer them the three-point threat? Are they going to protect the key? It'll be interesting to see, because if they play them just straight up, it's a Japanese win.
And speaking of Japan, here they are. They're the reigning champs, of course. Like I said, aiming for a sixth straight title. And of course, Mark, you expect nothing less. They've named a pretty strong squad to take to the court here in Sydney.
Well, I think, what is it? 7 of the guys played in the last Asia Cup. Yeah, they've medaled at Olympics, and they are. The great thing they have is continuity, and when you have continuity in a national team, it's a thing you have to hang on to, because you don't get together enough. And the great thing about this team is they know how they want to play, and they do a great job for coach.
So we're waiting in anticipation for the two anthems of Chinese Taipei and Japan. As I said, the crowd building up nicely. And we'll pause now.
For the Olympic song of Chinese Taipei. Please remain upstanding for the national anthem of Japan.
So the national anthems of Chinese Taipei and Japan taking place, and now the teams come together to shake hands and do a bit of a gift exchange as well. And we'll soon check in with the referees as well. They, of course, have a big task on their hands. A lot of referees so far have had a lot of work to do today. They've been 2 tough games to officiate, but with us today, Prita Mongmi, Ryan Jones, and then Ji Yeon Lee from Korea rounding us out. So, like I said, a big task ahead of them, but it'll be a great contest between these two teams, Japan and Chinese Taipei, as we take a look at Chinese Taipei warming up. Of course, like I mentioned, 6th in their past 2 Asia Cups. They're ranked solidly in the world, but they'd surely like to rise up the ranks, that's for sure. And we'll soon see who they've got in their starting 5 as well, which is always a great point of interest. So Ya En-hain, Ai Su Cheng, Yu Ting Ling, Ling Chuan Hung, and Chi Feng Chung. So a solid starting 5 for Chinese Taipei, Mark.
Well, like we said before, if this team doesn't control the glass, you know, they're not going to have the ball enough to run. And the way that you see this team practice, Coach Hee Young Cheng, it's a Chinese Taipei style. They'll stretch the floor, look to shoot the basketball, but they've got to hold their own on the glass, and otherwise they're going to get too many second chance attempts to these guys.
Exactly right. Japan, the dominant force, like we've said, looking to continue their winning streak and looking to bounce back from their disappointing World Cup campaign too. They came 9th in that campaign, and you can see that woman on screen there, Kaho, was the MVP last time round in this Asia Cup tournament, All-Star 5 as well. So a lot of dominant forces on that team, and the starting 5, as you'd imagine, for Japan will be pretty strong as well as we count down to the big game between these two sides. You can see they're knocking down every shot. There's not many misses from their point of view. You can see Stephanie Mauli there on the bench. Bit of free experience for her. And you'd expect to see her in the starting 5 along with Takada, Yamamoto, Hayashi, and that dominant force, Akaho, like we chatted about, Mark.
Yeah, and I think the important thing to stress is that they were so focused on the Tokyo Olympics and their tremendous performance there, that anything after that was going to be a difficult year. And obviously changing the coaching, just a change where that was such a focus for a number of years that it was almost a guarantee that they were going to have a bit of a downturn. But they're the defending champions here, and you never have any team that has Maki Takahata on the floor that doesn't play hard. And they'll be back. I believe they'll be back in this competition. And you don't want to put a 5 championship winning streak together for no reason at all. So they'll be looking for 6 in a row, and it'll be interesting to see for me if they've got that confidence that they had in Tokyo that they lost here last year.
So you can see Toru Onska giving his final words to his huddle. The Tissot countdown to the tip-off. We eagerly await this matchup. And there's a lot of players for Chinese Taipei to stop. I mean, like we mentioned, Japan's just got star power everywhere. You can see Miyazaki, the premier ball carrier, will be tough to stop. So a big task for them, but they need to come out firing, Mark. And
they've also got the problem where only, I think it's only 6 players. This is their debut at this level. And they play a lot of tournaments, Jones Cup and that, but there's nothing like a championship. So, the FIBA Asia Cup for them is their big, break out of 6th place, do it a step at a time, but they've got to get a result against a tough team to get into those into the playoff in the first place, to get to the semi-finals. Will be interested to see how those debutantes establish their first time. You know it's like when you do the thing for the first time, you're nervous, and it'll be interesting to see how they settle down. They should be fearless. They have nothing to lose.
Exactly right. As we await tip-off. Welcome to the 2023 FIBA Women's Asia Cup clash between Chinese Taipei and Japan in Sydney. It'll be Japan with the first possession of the game. Hayashi dishing it off to Takada. And the ball already gets stolen, so great start there for Chinese Taipei. Can they capitalize with a basket? Huang just carries the ball.
Ooh.
So 2 little skill errors to start off.
Well, Chinese Taipei start, if you want, digging at the basketball, trying to make things happen. The carry was a little tight. It could be here a long time if that's a carry.
Akaho, known for this type of range, misses on that occasion. Mauli, strong contact there.
Well, as you say, she is going to shoot the ball early, but because they spread the floor so well, Mawuli's got space to rebound, and unless Chinese Taipei put bodies on people, Japan will literally get a lot of joy with second shots.
Yamamoto gets it out to Kaho and then further kicked out again. They're moving the ball very quickly, but the shot clock's down to 2 and Mauli just loses it at the wrong time.
Well, we said that, debutants might be a little nervous. Japan look a little tight. If you're coming off of a bad or an unsuccessful tournament here last year, even the defending champions have got to get going.
So now Chinese Taipei sharing the ball around. Lin has to stop and prop and gave it to Hain. Thinks about Huang, but instead finds Zhang. Great rebounds there. Huang kicked it back out, couldn't get it back in. And Akahu off and running for Japan. Yamamoto, a tough drive, and Takada all on her own. Perfect start for Japan.
You simply cannot rotate away from the person one pass away from the ball. That's a shooting drill as Japan press it. Picking that point up a little bit more. If you rotate away from the person one pass away, as you saw, Takada gets so much time and space that you just can't do that. Help's got to come from somewhere else, or you've got to have better rotation to pick that player up.
So Zhang finds Huang. Cheng now. Lin gets to work over the arm of Mauli. It doesn't rattle in, and Kaho manages to get the rebound eventually. Yamamoto now running. Goes for the shot herself. That one just rattles out. Japan ball.
It is really, defending against Japan is so hard because at times they have 5 out and they really do stretch and allow space both to rebound and to penetrate. You've just got whatever rules they have, and they'll become evident over the game. They really, really have to execute those, but work hard. Can't give second shots.
Yamamoto into Takada. 1 basket for the match already. Yamamoto just pops up a little prayer, and in it goes.
Well, there's that issue. She was able to get really deep because they really stretched Chinese Taipei.
Chinese Taipei at the other end through Hung.
Same thing going the other way. They help from 1 pass away. Kick to the corner, open look, uncontested.
Oh, great feed to Mauli, and she'll head to the line for 2. Hayashi with great vision on that occasion. They've got such great communication between each other. You can see that Yamamoto bucket there. All class from Mai Yamamoto. Obviously not that tall, but she packs a punch.
Oh, very much so, packs a punch. She's still only a 23-year-old that's really developing her career. But the tempo of the game is impressive to start with. Both teams largely containing the basketball. Both teams really putting pressure on the basketball. They're just going to work out how they're going to defend, as I say, 1 pass away, and how they're going to rotate and help.
So Mauli making both free throws. She's on the score sheet. Looking to add to her tally rapidly as the game goes on. Although Lin, a little error there.
And this Japanese pressure, it might not be in this first quarter, but they're going to wear you down. Every time down the floor, you're under pressure. What really Chinese Taipei, if they can, really try and move the ball through the air and not try and beat the pressure on the dribble.
Huang already has a 3 for the game, now goes for the 2. That one's no good. And Hayashi with her signature speed. Yamamoto back to Hayashi. Takada, Akaho. Drives baseline, and that is nice and easy for Akaho, the reigning Asia Cup MVP. Huang now. Zhang gets it back from Cheng. Pulls up. And so far, the shot accuracy hasn't been too great from Chinese Taipei. Japan's pressure, like you mentioned, Mark, has been fantastic. Yamamoto just finds an open lane. Probably one too many tricks on that basket. Hayashi now. Beautiful release.
Well, again, the issue being they really did put them under pressure on the penetration, but that leaves the wide open shooter, and they share the ball as well as anybody in this competition. And I would argue they work at least as hard as everybody in this competition, because if Maki Takada is putting the effort in, you dare not if you're a teammate.
So we'll have some early subs for Japan. Okoye is going to come onto the court. And we're going to actually have a timeout as well to go with it. So Japan leading 12, Chinese Taipei just the 3 points at the moment. So we'll head into the Chinese Taipei timeout and listen in.
一秀把人往下带，或是恩把人往下带，只要上去折中的这个中锋，你要知道一个回场的状况，所以我要压到3分线内，我再跳往前，但是这个每一个球我都要接到，我就可以1对1啊。他每个都在替代，对不对？所以我可以接到球，拿球第一时间就是我篮，没有的话找射手，然后小雨上去开始做攻击，希望可以走一，用小雨跟丁丁两个人谁走上谁走下就可以。 跑动位太少了，尤其在无球边的时候，不要只有等机会，无球边很多的 C 卡或者上下档都可以走，加油！1、2、3。
Well, both teams pretty much the same in terms of shot attempts. It's just this Japan, because they're so interchangeable, can switch on most picks. The only time they got broken down was when they helped, when they were one pass away, and that gave the only open shot that Chinese Taipei have. So. Penetration and kick might not be the answer for Chinese Taipei. Maybe they're going to have to look at, how they set screens away from the basketball to try and free up the shooters. But with Japan's ability to switch, that's going to be really difficult. I just love the way Japan play basketball.
So a new look team out of the timeout for them as well. Here is one of those players that just came on and making an instant impact is Hirashita.
Oh, as a coach, you love that. Everyone's ready on the bench, steps in, ready to play.
Speaking of being ready to play, Okoye nearly pulled off that steal. And again, Japan forced the stop.
And it's all very well for people like me to say, really what they should do is pass the ball against the pressure, but the ability to contain the ball is really good, and then one pass away, you can contest it. So it's very easy to say pass the ball, not as easy to execute it against this level of defense.
Yamamoto. Mauli, 2 seconds to play with on the shot clock, and that's all she needs. So Japan dominating here, 17 points to 3. Chinese Taipei need answers, and they need them quick. Zhang. Now Lin. What can she do? She can bank one home.
Well, and the only difference was there was a release pass that time. So again, it took a little bit less time to get the ball, and they got a better look because they had people chasing them as opposed to being chased.
Here's Hoshi for her first look. She can't make it rain. Nearly got the offensive rebound, and now Lin off and running for Chinese Taipei. Chen. Perfect. So a little bit of a roll on here for Chinese Taipei out of the timeout. Hoshi. Okoye. Just gets the ball stripped off her. So there is improvement here. Zhang. Just falls out of court. See here on the replay, Mauli with all the class, just straight through the bucket. She doesn't need much time.
And we talked before the game about, the Chinese Taipei have to pick the way they're going to play. Well, whether it may be to zone it, even though Japan looked like they're a great shooting team, they could match up. They've just got to slow this tempo down. because they may play well and hit 60, 70 points, but Japan will be long gone at this tempo.
Hirashita. Todo now on. And count that. The Japan bench says absolutely count that. They just look like they're having a lot of fun out there early doors. That's what's most important.
That's a great way to describe it, because you had, apart from last year, the view, every time you watched Japan play, they were loving playing with each other.
Todo can't capitalize on the M1. Chen now. To Pan. Back out to Chen. So both teams rotating their starters early on. Todo now, off and running. Wanted Mauli, but she got a bit caught, so Yamamoto with it now. Okoye just misses her hands, but once again, they're always there. Back with Yamamoto. Hirashita wasn't quite expecting it, but pulled it off. Okoye for three. And again, they'll get another offensive rebound. And a fresh 12 on the shot clock. Yamamoto. A strong screen there from Mauli.
And the actual speed of movement away from the basketball really does challenge the defense. That's almost, or looked more offensive than defensive, because she arrived as the screen hit. But just the tempo in the half court, it's not just about running the floor for Japan. They really do engage the defense, so the defense gets dragged out of the middle because they're engaged. And that's just down to the pace of execution as much as anything else.
Miyazaki now on for her first minutes. Motohashi equally the same. So looks like Japan's bench will have to be ready to go. There's going to be a lot of players getting a lot of minutes in this game. Lin out to Cheng. Now Pan. Just wants some help and gets it in the form of Chen Wu, left all alone. That's better from Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, that's nice, because they took it down one side, then had an opportunity to attack a closeout with no help, and nice pull-up. They shoot the ball really well in space.
Motohashi. Takada. Speaking of shooting the ball well in space.
Ball just never sticks. Never sticks. It's a nightmare to defend when the ball doesn't stick, as long as everyone's looking for their options, as they just did.
Pan just stuck at half court. Thought about the shot, went under, and it just rattled out. Miyazaki, Motohashi, bounce pass to Okoye, nearly paid off. Okoye is just getting a lot of looks, but it's not quite connecting for her just as yet. But you just wait till it does connect. Someone who has connected for is Takada, who just doesn't need that long to release shots like that.
No.
Doesn't need much space, doesn't need much time, and you could say the same for most of the Japan lineup, to be honest. Lin now. Pan. Chen. Pan with it again. They just can't find any space, Chinese Taipei. Eventually it does come out to Chen. And Mauli able to pull down the rebound. Get it off to Motohashi, who traveled.
Again, you called it earlier on, another one of those passes where I don't think she was quite ready. You know, there was no need to give it to her. Could have just skipped it down the floor. But we've already played 8 minutes of this game, and the game just flow and the pace is impressive by the defending champions.
You just wonder how long they could keep it up for. I mean, it's a high energy, high tempo game. You can see man to man.
But they're so deep.
So deep,
you know,
exactly.
It's so interchangeable. It's almost like nothing changes when they rotate.
Lin with the nice reverse. You sense Lin will be an important factor to Chinese Taipei getting the win or pushing Japan as well. Miyazaki Found herself a little bit of space, but it just came out of the ring at the wrong time. Pan now. Looking to capitalize on that miss. Little fake pass. Wu. Lin just out of her reach.
One of the few moments in this championship where Chinese Taipei are going to have a size mismatch in the low post, and they just threw the ball away. But again, that's what pace and quickness does to you. You know, they really get speeded up when Japan put them under pressure.
Motohashi again to Miyazaki. And a nice little dish back to Motohashi, but that one just misses as well. Chen to Wu. They'll be looking for Lin, and Wu finds her. Here goes Lin, and makes the tough bucket as well. Got a bit of contact on the way in.
That's tough. You know, the way she created separation and is tough. But as you said, previous possession with the reverse layup, you know, she's crucial in terms of ticking over the scoreboard.
Hayashi, and that's better from Chinese Taipei. They've have a bit more of a renewed sense of energy, and it's mainly being caused by Lin. You can see that beautiful bucket. Back-to-back buckets now for her. Motohashi into Takada, a little sort of scoop possession. And Chinese Taipei get the stop.
That's 2 possessions in a row now. They've actually stopped the ball just being moved too quickly. Once they've got the ball, they know where it is. They can start to construct the defense. And it's largely been since Yamamoto's sat down. And it's not as if she's been replaced by anyone that's weak. It's just the tempo of the offense has slowed a little.
Lin wants to increase the pace of Chinese Taipei's offense. And that'll do us. An entertaining first term comes to an end. Japan opening their account with a strong first term. It's Japan 21, leading Chinese Taipei 14. And Japan came out exactly as we expected them to, Mark, just with a vengeance, and clearly they're doing pretty well in all the stats too.
Well, I think they came out and were very hot. The tempo was good, but Chinese Taipei worked their way into it, and they slowed them down, last few possessions in particular. And they're themselves now, because they're getting the opportunity to get stops. You're going to see from the first quarter best plays. This was early in the game, and there's the wide open look. They got a lot of wide opens look because they moved the ball quickly, and Chinese Taipei just never contained the dribble. But once they did and they actually beat the ball down the floor, you get that scenario where they get their own open looks. Like most coaches will always say, it always starts at the defensive end, but in this game in particular, Chinese Taipei have to find that way to slow the tempo of the ball down. Don't worry about anything else, try and slow the ball down. And then they've got a chance to work with it. If the ball keeps moving as quickly as it did, they're going to get shots off the dribble like that. They're going to get opportunities to get to the basket. And as they've already shown, Chinese Taipei can score. They just can't outscore Japan without trying to get those stops by slowing the ball down. I don't know if they're deep enough to do it for 4 quarters. I mean, they've managed to stop the bleeding, 7-point game. They've just got to do it for another 3 quarters without the poor start.
Exactly. So Japan got the first 5 points of the game, and then to end the quarter, Lin with the 4 points. But on your screen right now is the QR code. Scan away, because Courtside 1891 is the app to have. Streams, schedules, and scores on the Google Play and App Store. Everything you need to keep up with the Asia Cup. Top scorers so far. Maki Takada has 5 points for Japan, and Yu Tingling with 6 points for Chinese Taipei. You sense Lin will be the one, like we were saying, to get them back into it.
Well, she really has. She's a good athlete, finishes around the ring, can score off the dribble, so she's so important to tick the scoreboard over.
Again, referees getting involved early. It's been quite a physical game so far.
And I think that the other thing that Chinese Taipei do need is help from the official here, because until the official keeps them off in terms of contact, Chinese Taipei are going to have to fight through things. The referees need, if they clean it up, that's going to help Chinese Taipei.
Lin Now to Chen. That shot falls short. Chen will get it back though to Pan. Lin, the playmaker. And again, another offensive rebound. Pan. There you go. Chinese Taipei on the board first in the second term.
That's great recognition by Pan, because ball didn't hit the ring. She knew that, and it was a tough shot, but better made it. The recognition gave her the opportunity to do so.
Miyazaki now. Motohashi, what a great feed! Her vision is just uncomparable, really.
It's all 5 guys move. Their vision, as you say, is exceptional. And you just have to read each other, as we said right before the game. They've been together for a while.
Chen, guarded by Akaho, no easy task. Wu, Pan now. Has to back off Mauli and gets it to Chen. Double team, just throws up a little pass, and Japan off and running towards the other end. Akaho stops and props. Mauli in open space. Can't get the easy putback though. He gets fouled.
They're so good. I mean, we're going to see the little shot right at the bottom of the possession. Japan is so good at the point of transition. 5 guys run as soon as they have the opportunity to. Therefore, so many options down the floor. And if you don't get back and stop the ball, they're going to get opportunities, as we've already seen in transition. They always have good coverage on the glass. Just got to slow the ball down.
Motohashi. Miyazaki. Mauli again open, and this time she pops it in. Pan. Again, they just find themselves stuck so high up the court. Chen making a move. Lin to the rescue. Spinning around and getting a really nice bucket. And again, the speed of Japan puts Mauli in the right position, and she'll head to the line once again.
The disappointing thing, if that's the right way to word it, about Chinese Taipei is they know that Japan's going to run. They make a great, tough turnaround in the lane. But while that's going up, either you're going to the glass or you're getting back. Japan are just going past them because their point of transition is just not at the same level. Pick the ball up early, slow it down, try and channel and control it. If you don't, that's going to happen to you. And as we keep saying, if you run up and down, Japan are going to win the game.
It's Mauli's 7th point for the game. She's looking ominous early on. You know the firepower she has in her game.
I mean, the other thing to stress, we talked about that they have all this continuity, but the program just keeps churning people through. There's so many players under the age of 24 that they're just transitioning now into a new group. It's impressive to see the way that the whole program is structured for Japan.
Han off to Han. And there's a better bit of movement from Chinese Taipei. And guess who? It's Lin once again. Putting this team on her back. 10 points for her this game. Miyazaki couldn't get the instant response, and perhaps a chance for back-to-back buckets for Chinese Taipei. Lin can't make it rain. Miyazaki off and running, trying to extend that 7-point margin. Mauli. They share it around eventually. Motohashi, not quite. Chinese Taipei ball. And you can see this movement here from Lin is fantastic. The barometer of this game, that's for sure. She's going to take a well-deserved... Oh no, she's going to stay on the court. I think she was walking towards the bench and signaling a thumbs up, but she's going to stay out there, much to the delight, I'm sure, of Chinese Taipei fans.
That's when the fans are telling the coach, no, 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 keep her in. She's fine. She doesn't need to come out.
Chen to Huang. Back into Chen. Now Hain, just a little bit of a fumble. But they're able to fix it up. Hoshi with the strong hands. And Japan get the stop. And Japan again making a few subs. You can see Hayashi taking a seat. Hirashita comes back on the floor. And Hoshi now tasked with point guard duties for the time being. Okoye, Hirashita. Mauli now thought about the three. Said kicked it back out to Hoshi. He glides through, couldn't bank it in. Mauli is there once again. 2 offensive rebounds. Back out to Yamamoto. Okoye to get herself into the game. Yamamoto, the smallest player on the floor, getting an offensive rebound. And Mauli gets some contact on her. Coach Onska pretty happy with what he's seeing.
But the disappointing thing for Chinese Taipei is they got 3 stops, gave up 3 second shots. And you're 7 down. There's a little bit of momentum their way. They can't keep giving Japan those extra possessions. You've got to put a body on someone and keep them off the glass.
Hirashita pulls back. Mauli again! Just couldn't quite capitalize. She could have about 20 points right now if some of those buckets went in. Okoye, great desperation. Equally so, Lin. And it was too long in the back court.
But Okoye knocked it forward from the front court because she was clearly in the court in that, so it had crossed. I think that's where an official hasn't seen it, and oh, hang on, there's faulty. There must be a back court, but the ball had crossed and went back.
So Stephanie Mauli heading to the bench now. 8 points, 7 rebounds. So she's already on the verge of a double-double, which is incredible. Yamamoto, Takada, top of the 3, lets it fly. Hoshi, great pressure on Lin. Huang now finds some space to Cheng. Back to Huang. And that's a good transition basket for Chinese Taipei.
Beat it through the pass again. So, again, you turn the defense and you're being chased.
Hoshi couldn't quite complete the reverse layup. Now Chinese Taipei with a bit of pace. It doesn't pay off. Yamamoto, Hirashita. Yamamoto gets it back. Goes to Hoshi. They love that spot, and that's why!
That pick and pop action, that's somewhere in a scouting report, it says Takada does that as a career. I mean, in the Olympic Games, she shot over 50% from the 3-point line on the pick and pop, yet they lay out the pick and pop. And that's just breakdowns. They're going to be good enough getting tough shots, not wide open ones.
That's a good tough shot right there from Chen. So 33-24, Japan leading. Just ticked over the halfway mark of the second period. Hoshi now, just lost the ball. Lin, with no one ahead of her. Eventually finds a teammate in Hain. And we'll have a timeout here in Sydney. You can see Takada just letting it fly from the top of the 3-point line. And then Hoshi, same spot, same result. It's just classy basketball from Japan. They're leading Chinese Taipei 33-26 at this timeout. And we're going to take a listen in now.
さうまくいかなくもあったとしてもこの後良かったらいいんだよでしょ現地学んでやってこいでゾーンやった時にスクリーンかけるところでここやっぱ狙えるよねでこういいスクリーンかけてアタックしてこういうスクリーンで回るよねってこの狙い目もう一個だけフラッグした時にパワーは狙い続けてほしいそこを一回からね
Well, you saw the replays there that the pick and pop was really productive, but the next possession, when they chased Hoshi off the three-point line, now that still gives Hoshi the chance to go to the basket, but it's asking her to do something else. It's asking her to create a shot that will be a lower percentage outcome most of the time, because if this team shoots that type of three around 50%, 45%, you don't want to let them have. You've got to take that away. Okay, on that one, she fumbled the ball. She was being asked to make another move. They've got to stay, they've got to decide. Don't let Japan decide the shots they want. Chase them off that three-point line, make them play off the dribble, and see if your one-on-one defense can contain it.
It'll be a bit harder now with Yu Ting Lin on the bench, finally getting that break that she probably wanted.
You know, there's an example of, we're not going to let you run now. I'm going to reach. Yeah, okay, I may put it foul, but if I just play you straight, you're going to score.
Cheng now. To Chen, back to Cheng. That one just rattles out. And hey, not quite happy with that call. Wonder if they'll check it.
It's one of those, well, they could check it because it's a factual thing. They could replay it, but they haven't used their challenge. And why would you, I suppose, with 3:33 to go in the half, but the referees didn't want to.
Hoshi now with speed. Takada, Mauli, Yamamoto, all their big stars getting involved. Eventually Toto elects to drive. Can't get the offensive rebound. And now Liu. Chen, back to Liu. And that one just comes out, but luckily an offensive rebound. We haven't seen much of those from Chinese Taipei. Chen. To Cheng. Shot clock ticking down. Oh, I reckon that will count. No, it won't. Referee says nah.
Most unpopular person in the gym right now. Apart from with the Japanese fans, obviously, but...
Yeah, just after the shot clock. So again, that pressure from Japan really hurting Chinese Taipei. You can see 5 offensive rebounds for Chinese Taipei. Only 2 second chance points, so they've been really good at grabbing the boards and attempting to grab the boards, but just not putting it back. Miyazaki. Mauli. Again, they share it around Japan. Mauli gets fouled on the way in. She's just so hard to defend.
Again, another example of when you, and I'm going to go on a lot about this, when you don't slow that ball up, you're chasing the offense, and Mauli had the opportunity to turn the corner. There's going to get contact. Referee gives her the contact at the right time. She's on the free throw line because they never had control of the ball. They never knew where the ball was, didn't stop it.
And a rare miss for her. But she's been the star for Japan so far. If you can name one player, I mean, they've all made their impact so far. Look at that, 8 points, 7 rebounds.
Some of those rebounds were off her own misses.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
The more skeptical people in the crowd, maybe. She shouldn't have 7 rebounds, she should have more points. But the fact is that she's so active, and she's always going to go after hers and everybody. Every shot that goes up, she treats it like a pass to herself. And she's after it. And they still continue to press up the floor and generate a turnover. Yet another turnover.
You just think sometimes that they've been so good for so long. When are they going to drop? When's going to be the upset game? But they just look, it's hard to say, even more clinical than they have been in previous years already.
it's what always, for me, Japanese pressure does to you. It's not the one time, it's just the continuous pressure.
And I'll get another go at it again. So Japan 34 leading Chinese Taipei 26. 2 minutes 20 left in the opening half. Of course, up next, Australia taking on the Philippines. It'll be a great game for the host nation. Chen. Miyazaki with the endless pressure. Miyazaki still sticking with Chen and just reached in a bit too much.
So there's only 2 more turnovers difference between the two, 10 to 8. But 14 points off turnovers is compared to 4. I mean, they're clinical when they run the break. They get out and run, they get 5 options down the floor, and they really do score off their defense, Japan.
Liu pulls up from 3-point range. That's a big bucket for Chinese Taipei. And they're hustling again. Double teaming Motohashi. Mauli now with it. She's double teamed, just throws it over her head. And it might pay off for Hayashi. Not quite. Mauli getting tangled again. And you can see this sweet shot from Liu. And the coach likes it as well, Coach Cheng. You don't often see coaches get pretty happy, but good to see a bit of animation.
Well, to be fair to Chinese Taipei, at the beginning of the game, they were being run off the floor. It's a 5-point game. They get the basketball, a chance to make it a 2 or 3-point game. They've got to be relentless in how they operate. Nice pass.
Cheng banks it in. This is great from Chinese Taipei. Back-to-back buckets now. 3 points the margin. Bit by bit, they've edged it back. Let's see what Motohashi has. Takada! What a great find.
Super fine, super tiny by Takada. Just waited for the help to go and then just stepped into the space.
Chen now. Less than a minute to go in the first half of this FIBA Women's Asia Cup clash. Chen couldn't quite connect with that shot. You can see on your screen there a nice little feed from Chen to Cheng. And then equally as good, Motohashi to Takada.
This is where Chinese Taipei have to really finish the half well. They got it to 5. They've just turned it over. They can't give Japan anything easy like a layup.
Like that from Motohashi, just gliding through the defense. And now pressing up. And I'll give it another go at it before the end of the half. Motohashi just finding a lane and making full use of it. And we'll have a timeout with 21 seconds left. Japan 38, leading Chinese Taipei 31.
And with the foul to give, Japan have got the chance to go up the floor and try to score quick and then try and get a second one. There's not really enough time for him to get a second one, but you can see them using that foul to try and generate another turnover to give them more points. And I'm sure if my Japanese was better, that's what they're saying.
We'll head down to Coach Onska's timeout now. So a quick message there from Toru Onska. We're pretty happy with what his team's produced so far. But don't discount Chinese Taipei. They've pulled this one right back within reach. And they can try head into the second half with a bit of momentum. They've had great output from players like Lin and Huang, up to 5 points as well. And then for Japan, Takada now up to 10 points. That's a dangerous side for the Chinese Taipei defense.
Traditional thing here is that just use the last 20 seconds, and that's what it looks like they're going to do. He's not going to try and use his foul to give and see if he can score quickly and foul, but they're just going to hold for the last shot.
Yamamoto eventually puts the burners on. Mauli for the open look. Can't capitalize it. Motohashi is there! And that's the perfect finish to the opening half for the reigning Asia Cup champions. They flexed their muscles early on. They've showed who's boss. And they go into halftime with a very handy lead. Japan 40, leading Chinese Taipei 31. So a great opening half performance from Japan. They've all contributed in their own way. Coach Onska's used his bench very fruitfully. We thought we'd see lots of Akaho, but not so much, even though she was the MVP. But as we look at the stats, it tells a good story of how dominant Japan is.
Yeah, and it's going to hurt, isn't it, if you're the Chinese Taipei? You get it back to 5, and we said, like, you got to finish the half out. You know, they gave up a layup and they gave up an offensive rebound, so they, pretty much double their lead. And Takada with a 10, as we said, now we have 9, and we're like, well, she should have had more than that, but she's backed that up with some decent rebounding. That's a much better quarter, though, for Chinese Taipei. They slowed the ball down more. They have better looks themselves, but they just competed so much better. They didn't really, until that last minute, really didn't give up many easy looks, apart from those pick and pops in the middle of the quarter. So, it's a much better situation they find themselves in. They're only 9 down, but they've now got to get back in the game. They've got to try and close that gap against a team that is, as we've seen in that half, absolutely relentless at the defensive end. And coach rotates his lineup incredibly well. No one gets tired on the floor, and they've got hands in every single passing lane. So it's a tough ask, and we always knew it was going to be a tough ask, and they showed that they can compete, Chinese Taipei, but they just can't have the little mental breakdowns with the unopposed layup, and they can't have that. Giving up an offensive rebound to the smallest player on the Japanese lineup is just unforgivable when you're trying to get yourself back in the game. But some good signs, though. Some really good signs for Chinese Taipei, and that's a tremendous performance. As we saw, like, Yu Ting Lin was just exceptional. So there's a way that they can get right back in this. Be interesting to see how they start that the third quarter.
Of course, we speak about Japan's dominance, but really in that term, it was 19 points to 17. So Chinese Taipei just quietly went about their work, brought themselves back into the game. So I think we're set up for a cracking second half.
Unique character. Unique chemistry.
FIBA Basketball World Cup is the peak of the game.
It's the toughest competition in the basketball world to win.
That is why I will be there.
Because when you win for one,
You win for all.
Trying to shake off Rawling. Having to force it up and throw it up. Does it count? It does. Waggy. Ledger Walker thinks about it. She's got Wickham on her left. Stays up strong. Yes, gets it to drop. The effort paid off for the youngster.
They didn't have anything on the fast break. They needed to regroup.
Nowhere to go. Shot clock.
Amazing job to stay on her feet, Pontejo.
Skirting through. Jin trying to feed it inside. And the shot right. Pulls it out, the feed down low and finish by Miyashita. Yes! Beautiful finish for Japan in the first.
Eyes in the back of her head.
Yang, no look past to Lee in the corner. Lee making moves, wide open. Euro takes it to the rack.
Little fake pass to the inside.
Second chance. Wickham, no look past. Ayahuasca!
Pretty pass by Sammy Wickham.
Miyazaki, 8 seconds on the shot clock. Give and go. Okoe with the finish. And one! Playing hard. Sharp with the ball. 1 second, she's gonna get it up. It's tipped. And it's over! With the game-winning block for Japan.
you can't take a possession off against teams like Japan, and they got it back to 5 and then gave up a layup and an offensive rebound, and all of a sudden what should have been a 5-point half where you're going in with some momentum, all of a sudden you're down 9, and it's Japan who are going, oh, okay guys, we're all right now, we've re-established ourselves. And that might sound like quite a minor difference, but the way that happened, it wasn't like Japan made great plays. They just got to the basket and outworked Chinese Taipei. And it's but like we said right at the beginning of the game, Chinese Taipei want to break out of being 6th. Well, it's a new team, a lot of new players, and in particular, as I just said right at the beginning, Yu Tin-Ling has shown a way that they can score against pressure. So that's going to be interesting. You still favour Japan at the half, but they're only up 9, and to be quite honest, Chinese Taipei gave them part of that 9, the way they started and the way they finished the quarter.
So you're right, Yu Tin-Ling, the barometer. Coach Toru Onska just has a really relaxed manner about him. You can see even at the timeouts, the players are the ones with the inputs. You saw Yamamoto holding the board and instructing some players, and conversely, Coach Cheng got a bit of work to do with her team, but both coaches will actually be probably reasonably happy with where they are at the moment.
Well, if I'm Coach Cheng, after the way the game started, it could have got really ugly. They were down double digits, and Japan were running and turning them over and scoring off those in transition off those steals. And then they just got a foothold in the game, and they were fine. She'll be very unhappy with the last minute because all that work was a little bit undone.
They've put all the effort in. It's just been some skill errors and some turnovers that we've said that have just let them down. So right into this contest, and a good crowd starting to pile in the arena as well.
Is someone else playing after the game?
Yeah, there might be a little green and gold team coming up next against the Philippines.
Hey, and there's going to be some Philippine fans. There's always Philippine fans.
Yes, there'll be a lot of noise. There already is, but I reckon it will increase to a crescendo once the next game starts at 7:30.
Like we said right at the beginning, where Chinese Taipei have to pick the way they're going to ask Japan to beat them, so that you take that pick and pop. They can't give Japan the pick and pop because they're just so productive on it. So if they take the pick and pop away, make them put it on the floor, make them make an extra pass, then they've taken Japan out of what they primarily want to do. So if they can do that and then rebound, they're deciding, they're trying to control how the game is going to be played. If Japan control totally how they're going to play, their percentages will be just too good for this Chinese Taipei team, but they've given themselves a shot at the half, and after 5 minutes, it didn't look like they were going to have a shot.
And the next 5 minutes will be crucial as well. I mean, Chinese Taipei haven't quite got off to a great start on each of the first and second periods, but if they can come out firing here, Japan get a bit of a scare. They have to reassess a few things with their game plan. It puts them on the back foot a bit. So we're very interested in what Chinese Taipei come out and do here, and equally the same with Japan, obviously. And
they're a great team to watch, Japan, when they just play. When they flow and play, everyone's like, oh, they moved the boys great. Like any team, you've just got to make them think a little bit about what they're trying to run, what they're trying to get. Should we run this? Should we run that? When they're coming down in transition and moving the ball, they're beautiful to watch. They're a joy. You would pay an admission fee to watch them play basketball, run up and down. They've just got a tremendous attitude to sharing the ball. It's a team game. They relish that. They are a team worth paying the entrance fee to watch.
Absolutely. The fans in the house are in the right seats, that's for sure. Japan know what it takes to win at Asia Cups. They're obviously had that big Olympics campaign, didn't quite show up at the World Cup. And if you look at your screen right now, you can scan your QR code, read a bit more about the history of the competition. Courtside 1891 is the app to go to, stream schedules and scores. And Japan hoping to continue the good vibes in the stadium and continue that into the third period as well. Chinese Taipei looking at keep just chipping away. They're not like, I think Japan's probably a bit of a louder team, but Chinese Taipei, they quietly go about their work. They just get all the hard baskets. They play two really different game styles, but it's sort of working for both teams at the moment.
Just win the third quarter if you're Chinese Taipei. If you win it by one, you're right in it. Be an 8-point game. Get a few early stops. first few possessions that are absolutely crucial in terms of how this second half will be played out. You don't want to be coming back from 15, 16 down if you're Chinese Taipei. You can score in a hurry, but you don't want to dig yourself a double-digit hole to dig yourself out of.
So the third period is upon us. It's Japan 40 leading Chinese Taipei 31. Welcome back to Sydney for the second half. Japan leading the way, as really a lot of people would have expected. Hunting for a 6th straight Asia Cup championship here in Sydney. Yamamoto. Takada just got tapped out of her hands.
That's super. Super by Ji Fang Chang.
Lin. Chang now. Huang. Back to Zhang. And now Hain for 3. Perfect start for Chinese Taipei. Exactly what we wanted them to do. How could Takada respond? Gives it back to Yamamoto. Akahu, reigning MVP, to Mauli. Dips it into Takada. And heads to the line for 2.
Wasn't a lot of space as we get a replay of the 3. And we talked about that a little bit in the first half. You know, screens away from the ball, come back to the ball. Takada does a great job using her body on the other end as she's on the free throw line right now. Because there wasn't really a lot of space to throw the ball into. And she just, whatever little space there was, she just held it. And good pass, chance to tick the score over. They're back running again, re-establishing some offensive rhythm. Just love, Takada's just had a super career. And just you don't put those numbers up in the Olympic Games without being a super player.
3-time Asia Cup gold medalist Takada. Wants a 4th, undoubtedly. Mauli picks off the Chinese Taipei offense and then passes to no one.
Yeah, it's one of those unfortunate things where coming together with the players, I'm not sure it was a foul when they came together, but it did then stop the cut. So in some ways the referee had to call it, but unfortunate, the turnover and then the opportunity to get it right back lost.
Hayashi to Yamamoto. Mauli now, back to Hayashi. Takada provided the screen. It allowed Akaho to make a cut, but couldn't quite get the basket to go with it. Lin now. Cheng. A nice drive and good strength there by Cheng. Akaho. Takada. Yamamoto now. Mauli. Good hands there from Huang.
Well, they're a step better defensively at the start of this third quarter. You know, nice looks, nice passes, but in no space. They've really done a great job at adjusting on the movement of the ball, and from that, they've been much sharper down the other end.
Yamamoto using her speed, just couldn't convert. Chung now. Lin, guarded by Mauli. This will be a great matchup. Chung gets it back from Cheng. Little bounce pass to Huang. Can't quite convert on that occasion. Yamamoto's got not many ahead of her, so she goes on her own. Mauli in the corner, drains it! Stephanie Mauli is having herself a game. Now into double-digit points. She's on 7 rebounds, edging close to that double-double. Lin. Guarded by Akaho. And that was just a bit of a, heavy collision. Takada just bounced straight back up. Oh, it's just a little trip.
I think both, it was in the end, it looked really quite bad, but they were both sort of, if you want, falling away from each other Unfortunately fell the other side of the padding, but that's 2 bad shots in succession for Chinese Taipei. The penetration was fine the time before, but finish with a shot you want, and then a forced 3-pointer. And if there had been a rebound situation, Japan would have been off to the races again, and they can't. They struggle to slow it down. Malawi makes the open 3, and some of the good work already being undone.
See Chung on the bench, a bit worse for wear. Takada still out there. Payne just gets the ball stripped from her. Gets it back, and that one won't rattle in. Yamamoto, off and running. Hirashita with a good look. Yamamoto, she just pops up. You just think she's the furthest away from the ball, but she puts herself in the right position all the time. So Chinese Taipei will have a couple of subs enter the game shortly. There's Chen getting ready to replace Huang on the floor. 45-36 is the scoreline. 6 minutes 53 left to play in the 3rd period. Now Chinese Taipei sharing it around in the backcourt. Chen getting involved early. And a foul call.
So it didn't look great for Chinese Taipei, but they showed some composure. Cheng didn't panic, got the nice cut from her teammate, and then there's a foul as opposed to a potential turnover. They've really got to value the ball so much more.
Hayne found a lane and then got the offensive rebound, put back. Classy basketball there. Mauli, Yamamoto. Oh, perfect find back to Mauli, and this time she's able to bake it in.
Yeah, there's a list of coaching books that one came out of. Just great little 2-man pick and roll. Open side, no help. Timing was excellent.
Hayne. Nice feed back into Chen, but guarded closely by Yamamoto. Shot clock down below 5. So Chen pulls the trigger, but couldn't quite get the conversion. Yamamoto now, Hirashita cutting hard, but she ignores her, goes herself! My Yamamoto is just so clutch. And they get another chance, Japan. See those legs pumping all over the court. Now they come to a halt, Takada. And Cheng, a really rare skill error from Japan, and Cheng capitalizes on the other end. You don't often see that from Maki Takada. Hirashita. Mauli this time couldn't take down the offensive rebound. So Chinese Taipei looking to reduce that 9-point margin. Chen. Oh, nice feed to Chen, but just couldn't convert. The crowd up in arms. That was their opportunity, you sets, to really turn the screws on Japan. Mauli this time can make them pay, and she does.
And I know it's a cliche, but they've got to play perfectly almost to have the chance to beat Japan. And instead of being 11 down, it could have been 7. They got to the ring. Now they've got another open look.
Takada, the safe hands under the rim. Mauli for back-to-back buckets. Hirashita, Takada, Yamamoto now. Just wants to hold proceedings for a sec. Hirashita finds some space and knocks it down.
Just another lift. You separate, 2 steps away is just at least 1 step too many. And if you get them the time to get the ball above your eye line, as this time they miss another layup. Get the ball above the eye line, they're going to make.
Yamamoto stops, props, and drains another three! Raining threes at Sydney Olympic Park, courtesy of the Japanese team. Timeout called, Japan 57, leading Chinese Taipei 40. Here's a look from Yamamoto. Can't leave her in that much space. Three-point shooting has been exquisite from Japan this quarter. And the whole game, really. Let's head into the timeout now.
Would have come out and gone 3 for 4 from the three-point line. That's not us saying that they're going to finish at 75% for the quarter, but 3 missed layups and a miss open look, 4 wide open attempts that Chinese Taipei have missed, and Japan have just run down the other end in transition and got open looks. And yeah, there were people closing them down, but you're a step off, it's too late. So what was a 9-point game, an 8-point game, then a 7-point game at one point, it's out to 17, and now they are in a double-digit hole.
So Cheng now looking to move the ball to Pan. Wu had to wrestle with it. So some fresh players on the floor for both teams. Lin loses it. Oh, that is a clutch shot there from Chen. The little Hail Mary went all the way down the bottom of the net.
Got the chance for the extra. You see the replay. It won't upset Coach Zuka too much because his team were very much pushing Chinese Taipei to play a little bit quicker than they wanted to do, but it's amazing what a play like that can do for your team. You really have just had an awful 2 minutes, and you get a 3-point play, and you're okay. Get another stop. We're back. We can get close to single digits, and we're right back in it. And what did we say? They only have to win this quarter by 1 to be in it. So this is not a disastrous quarter yet. It threatens to be, but they need to get stops.
17 points to 12 in Japan's favor this period. Motohashi lets it fly. Hirashita there to mop up. Maoli has a duck for that one. Let's Motohashi get it this time. This time feeds Maoli against Wu. The spin move was great.
That's almost trademark for her.
And Chinese Taipei looking to emulate a bit of Japan's play and move the ball up quickly. We'll take a look at this move here. Motohashi to Maoli. Put Wu in a spin cycle, and just like that, Maoli up to 18 points, 9 rebounds. Lin. Chen. Just has to stop and prop. And we'll get it back. Go for a 3. The shot was short. Hoshi somehow kept the ball in her hands. Maoli with the hot fingers. This time feeds Motohashi, who couldn't pay her back.
And you can feel when they get like that, the crowd love it. The ball doesn't stick, and they've just blown a layup. Now it's up to Chinese Taipei to get a shot they want now. And they're going to turn it over again.
That stuff hurts. So a few subs now for Japan. And we'll see Asahina come in for her first minutes of the game, So Coach Onska now using every player on his roster this game. And Chinese Taipei also making a few rotations. Lin comes off for a seat. Hasn't quite had the impact this third period, Yu Ting Lin. Still stuck on 10 points. Toto now banks one in.
It's a little bit deja vu now. It looks like the first quarter where they were able to get to the ring at will by moving the ball.
Pan nearly lost it. Wu. Back to Pan. Just feel a bit stagnant at the moment, Chinese Taipei. Wu gets an open look. Can't capitalize. Hoshi. Wants Motohashi, gets her. And Okoye in the corner. Lets that one fly as well. Their three-point shooting has been sublime. It's got them this big margin. And again, Toto fighting for the ball.
Well, made three-pointers is also one of those things that's contagious, because Okoye didn't look like she was going to make one in the first half, but confidence spreads. And you can see the energy drain out of Chinese Taipei, struggling now against that pressure that's going to literally wear you down to another turnover. It's just relentless, and you know, we're coming up to the end of the third. You're tired, you've made some mistakes, they've made some threes. Mentally now you're beginning to struggle, and they just will tighten that screw even tighter with their full court pressure.
So 1 minute 9 seconds left to play. And again, just like that, Hoshi straight through the middle. Liu has to get moving, double teamed. Finds the option in Pan to Wu. Has to wrestle it back in the court. Liu. Pan. Shot clock now down to 5. They've got to go. Pan. Just got to put it up. And again, that relentless pressure, that's a perfect word for it, Mark. It just continues to suck Chinese Taipei in. Okoye.
They're just feeding off they believe there's a turnover every single possession now.
And oddly, they turn it over this time.
Yeah, Motohashi just got a little bit expansive. She saw the opportunity for the back cut, but the only person on the floor who saw it was Motohashi.
So 15 seconds left for Chinese Taipei to work with to try and go into the three-quarter time huddle with a bit of momentum, but Japan there again.
Oh, there's no let-up now. We said there would be no let-up. As soon as you give them an opportunity, they are ready to take to the full advantage from it. They see this as a potential 13 seconds to steal it and score again. They're not talking about defending there, they're talking about trying to attack the basketball.
Chen trying to attack for Chinese Taipei. Clock down to 2 seconds, 1 second. Chen might have just run out of time. And that's been the theme for this entire game. Japan have put their muscles on, or flexed their muscles, I should say. And at the end of the third quarter, Japan 66, leading Chinese Taipei 43. And it was really their three-point shooting, Mark, that took off in that third period. They outscored Chinese Taipei 26-12, and you can see there 45% from three-point range is really positive.
And the frustrating thing is, if you think back to the first two and a half minutes of that quarter, they got stops and scored, Chinese Taipei. But you've got to do it every single possession. We using the word relentless, and that's what it comes down to. They gave up a pick and pop, which is not exactly new. They were slow on the closeout, which means Japan are moving the ball well, but they're taking open looks. And it's just disappointing for Chinese Taipei that they got it back to 7-6. And as we said at the time, missed the 3 layups, and every time they missed or took a bad shot, there was a 3 going the other way. But if you're a champion team, that's a champion program, that's what you do. You don't become an Olympic silver medalist and a five-time consecutive Asia Cup champion without having that mentality. And if you can feel this, you know, watching this game, everyone in the gym who's a neutral is now with Japan, because they're loving the way that they're playing the game. They're just enjoying Yamamoto and Hirashati on the perimeter. They're just making even the bad pass. The crowd loved it because they saw what she was trying to do, and it's the way to entertain people, and that's why people love watching them play.
And we'll get to see them continue on their merry way as they re-enter the court now. What can Chinese Taipei do to wrestle this one back and get it on their terms? And maybe just give Japan a bit of a wake-up call, but at the moment, Japan just look too good, too classy, too strong. Every adjective you can think of. It starts with Hirashita at the start of the fourth period. 66 is Japan's score. Chinese Taipei sitting on 43 points. Here in Sydney, Australia, Yamamoto gets things started in the fourth period for her team.
Zero help, zero rotation, and again, she's so quick. She's going to get to the ring before you can even think about helping if you haven't adjusted.
Lin has been the workhorse for Chinese Taipei. What can she do with ball in hand this time? Tries to spin around Hirashita. A late whistle, but the foul is called.
It looked like a foul. We're going to get another look at it after we're going to look at this layup because, and the thing everyone will notice is there was no blue shirt in the picture coming to help, but it looked like a foul, and I'd rather the late whistle than no whistle. So, and they need every bit of help they can get now, down 25, and it's just the tempo that wears down teams. You know, people can remember back to the Asia Cup final when they beat China. China looked all over the winner for 35 minutes of the game.
Yep. So Lin up to 12 points for the game. She's been not their one positive spark, but one positive spark in their lineup. She could take a lot of confidence from her game. Sotsuku and Asahina, who gets herself on the score sheet. And now almost every player has scored for Japan. I think Miyazaki's still sitting on 0 points. Huang. The shot looked good, but it just rimmed out. Yamamoto, speaking of shots looking good, doesn't elect to shoot this time. Gives it to Hirashita instead. Gets it back. Hoshi. Shot clock down to 5. Okoye left on her own. Unable to claim the offensive rebound. Chen. Chen still battling with Hoshi. Lin. Steps back. That's a good look from Lin.
She does a really nice job at getting the defense to have their weight going back and then just steps back, gets enough separation. Beautiful high release.
Okoye. Asahina. Back-to-back buckets for her, and a good little feed there from Okoye as well.
Yeah, saw the mismatch. All she had to do was put the ball away from the defense, and she's back at it. Okoye with her still.
And they're running again, this time Hirashita with the open layup. They just don't give in. And now they're starting to pull out some party tricks too, some even more clever passes, if that's even a thing. And they're going to bring in 3 fresh players, all smiling as well. That's the most important thing. That's the thing I personally love about Japan is they're smiling, they're happy, there's high fives. There's some real cohesion in their lineup.
You know, everyone who loves this game talks about it as a team game. They just love it because it's a team game. They love playing with each other, helping each other get a better outcome. Like that.
Hirashita again. A nice reverse layup this time. And she's getting herself some points as well. Now up to 8 points for the game. And again, another steal. Hirashita wants it. This time Miyazaki claims it. Dishes to Akaho. And that's what you want your reigning MVP to do, is to get on the end of those looks. And there will be a timeout called. Let's have a look at a couple of replays before we head to the timeout. Hirashita, a beautiful little spin move under the basket, sorry. And then Miyazaki dumping it to Akaho and making no mistake under the rim. And now we're going to take a listen into Chinese Taipei's timeout. 78-47 the scoreline.
手没有站着的啊，请问我刚刚这第4节开始3分钟，这3分钟里面我被走了多少个？只要被过害过漏的第一时间，我有确认我的3线到位，但是我3线是站在原地看，我的人在 corner 在大脚，还是我的人已经跑背斗了？我被送了多少过之后的这个勾射球？我3线不是站着看而已，我3线要随时准备这个球送大脚，还是这个球会送篮下？ 然后再来这转换快步，我们对人太慢了，防守都在休息了。那如果要休息，我们就换人喽。1、2、3。
I hope, well, I'm sure, I believe that it's day one of this Asia Cup. You do not want a bad beating, for want of a better phrase, on day one, because we said they want to get out of that 6th spot. Well, they're going to have every opportunity to play in a playoff game. But if they get run over in the first game, it's tough to you play 3 games back to back. It's tough mentally to... You were in the game as well, and then you can't understand how you've lost by 30.
And guess who they've got up next? It's the might of Australia, the host nation, tomorrow night.
That's another reason not to get beat up tonight.
Exactly. Chen, Okoye, too strong with the hands.
Then again, no, a very different challenge, and if they play with this tempo, that will give Australia some things to have to deal with. Obviously, they're stronger and they play in a different way, but you can't. It's people say, "Oh, okay, we'll forget today," but there are players out there who for 3 quarters thought they were in this game or competing, and now they're down 30. That's a mentally challenging thing to deal with. Unless you've said, "Hey, we just have to win the 3rd game to get to the playoff," then you can deal with it. But they had some really positive things in the first 3 quarters. They do not want to waste all that effort by finishing poorly.
Japan want to keep piling on the points though. Miyazaki. Oh, feeds Akaho once again. The funny thing is we haven't even seen much of Akaho on the floor. The reigning MVP doesn't really need to be used in this game, as funny as that sounds.
But I think that's the key with this group. They win big games, the important people score, but they share the ball. They don't really mind who does get the points.
Miyazaki. Akaho. Now Todo. Feeding Akaho once again. Going to work on Chen and banks it in.
If you're good enough, you'll get them at some point in the game. So, and she is a very, very accomplished player.
Lin. Cheng just has to throw it away in the end. We can see the back-to-back baskets here from Akaho, the reigning Asia Cup MVP. And suddenly she's got herself up to 8 points and 5 rebounds in this game, despite only being on the floor for 15 minutes. So she's been super impressive. Wu, quick release, doesn't pay off. Hoshi. Akaho. 3 in a row perhaps. That one just rims out.
When she goes hard, doesn't she, as well? I mean, she'll be disappointed to miss what she would consider to be an easy look.
Wu. Chen just ran into the might of Okoye. Okoye might not have a heap of points, only 3 points, but she's been very strong defensively. Todo. Okoye, a chance to get herself on the score sheet. That one just rattles out. So 3 players in double figures for Japan, and then only 1 player yet to score. So they've really spread their scoring out well. Like you mentioned, Mark, they don't care who scores. They just want to put points on the board, and they've got 82 points to Chinese Taipei's 49.
I mean, the thing that they're all cliche statements, but the thing about them is they are only worried about the we. There's very little I in the group, and they love it as a group when they get those. The last few minutes is the way they love to play the game.
Wu gets herself an open look. The shots just aren't falling for them, though. They are for Akaho, but this time couldn't complete her good work, was fouled. You can see the bullet pass from Miyazaki quite nearly paid off. And we'll head to the benches again. Another timeout called. Japan with an almighty lead now. We're going to go in a second to see what they have to say. Here's Coach Onska.
ギャップのポジションも低いとアイガップ打たれちゃうよね。こだわり持っていくから。OK、最後までこだわって自分たちバスケやりきろう。シュートスタート。さっきのね。
So Japan heading back out onto the floor. 82 points to 49. They've outscored Chinese Taipei 16 points to 6 in this fourth period alone. And the scary thing is, Mark, they're not done yet. 4 minutes, 34 seconds to play. They're right in contention to hit triple figures. They just look flawless. They look like they're here to win it for the 6th time.
And the score is for coach now, the score is an irrelevance. It's like, I need us to do this. It's about the whole tournament. We can't let up. He's obviously happy with what he's seen in the last few minutes, but whether he wins by 40, 30, whatever it is, he now wants to see if he's asked them to run, can they run it well enough? He's getting different combinations into the game. It's about them playing the basketball that he wants them to play. Not normally an issue for them.
Akaho at the line. That's her 9th point for the game. She's been incredibly efficient with her minutes. You can see Maki Takada on the bench taking a seat. 12 points for her today, or tonight I should say. And 2 from 2 goes Akaho at the free throw line.
Still have the trap, still looking to push, still looking to beat Japan. That's the identity.
Lin has been working hard all game. Wu dumps it into Chen. Probably not the right spot for Chen to be in. So backs out and then gets it into the taller Wu, who can't beat the shot, can beat the shot clock but can't get the shot in. Miyazaki. Hoshi finds a baseline cut. Miyazaki's there to help. Chinese Taipei can head up the other end now. Lin gets taken out of her hands. Wu's after it. Or Huang, sorry, is after it. And Lin. Can she add to her points tally? Not with that shot. Not with that shot. See Miyazaki there just getting caught in a tangle of arms. Wu was strong defensively there. And now for Chinese Taipei, it's just about some little moments.
No, they can't finish the game being run over like they're being run over. The second half has just been about how, and again, same thing. Extra cut, extra pass, end up with a wide open look. And then they're getting outworked on the glass. They've got to find a way to finish this game positively.
And that's not going to cut it, but Asahina is pretty happy. Mauli on the bench is loving it too.
Oh, absolutely.
Pan now. Chen. Oh, a nice little crossover, but couldn't make it count. Good offensive rebound, and again, the ball just won't go in for Chinese Taipei. Okoye Spinning around, makes it look so easy. So a 10-0 run for Japan at the moment. Pan can try and cut the deficit here. Wu Huang. That's a better look, but again, the ball just comes out of the rim. Hoshi. A beautiful little pick and roll there. Asahina once again getting on the end of it.
Well, there's a team out here having fun, that's for sure, but that's an unopposed pick and roll to a simple layup.
Huang for three. Can't make it rain. Miyazaki. The only player yet to score for Japan tonight. It won't matter to her. She's been feeding her bigs, her smalls, anyone she could find, and Toto this time on the end of it.
It's a 52-18 second half. But most of that damage is fourth quarter damage. They're relentless. We said right at the beginning of the game, if they didn't control it, that the fourth quarter, their pressure would wear them down. And that's partly what's happened, mentally as well as physically. You just love, it doesn't matter who comes on in a white shirt. Everybody's doing the job for everybody else. Still getting after it with the trap. They're going to get a foul on that one, but... And some people say, oh, do they need to press? This isn't about this game for them now. This is just about homing what they're going to do because they want to be a championship team again.
Up next, Japan take on the Philippines tomorrow. So another interesting match for them too. It's a long tournament, so do they try new lineups? Do they
I'd have thought that,
take a back seat? I don't know.
No,
you don't want to get too complacent because we don't want to discount the Philippines at all, but man, Japan look fantastic. They really do. I'm sure the Philippines will take it right up to Australia tonight, that's for sure. That's the match coming up next.
I mean, they've only got one player that's played over 20 minutes. They have shared the minutes, that's Malawi, and they're always going to get contributions from across the roster because at the tempo they play, they're not going to be able to play huge extended minutes often. When it comes to tougher games, they've got the ability to, but coaches really rotated well, and it's hard to actually pick the moment when, oh, this was a weak lineup, or this was a weak, because his balance has always been good. Their execution as a group has been excellent, and their effort, they're just outworking the opponent as well as being very skilled. It's a difficult combination to try and play against.
Chen gets Chinese Taipei's 7th point of the period. Japan aiming for point 29, but that three just rimmed out. And the pressure continues. Chinese Taipei have just been really stuck in a pressure cooker for the whole game. Unable to get out. They had their moments, they had their little runs. They got really close in the second period. They take a lot of confidence out of that, but you want to take it up to teams like Japan, you've just got to keep putting in those efforts.
Think back to that third minute of the third quarter when they were down 6 and they missed the layup. So then from that moment on, there's only been one team, and that's the first time they've scored in a very, very long time.
Liu getting the field goal there. 92-53, under 60 seconds left in this ball game. Akaho pops it in. She's had a big fourth period, Himawari Akaho. Chen, what can she produce? Happy to take their time and just absorb some of that Japanese pressure. Chen can't get the shot up. Hit the deck hard. That's the thing with Japan as well, they've been physical. Motohashi. This is probably the one time they're just happy to hold it.
They'll just walk it off right now. That's been fun to watch. Not if you're a Chinese Taipei fan, but that's been fun to watch.
And the reigning Asia Cup champions have made a massive statement here in Sydney, getting a huge day one win over Chinese Taipei. The final score from Sydney is Japan 94, Chinese Taipei 53. So a really emphatic performance from the Japanese team here in Sydney. They love playing here. They've been here a few times in the past year, I think 3 times. And now they're getting around the crowd. That's one happy coach. And that's one happy team. A big day one win. They go in tomorrow's game with the Philippines with all the confidence.
It is impressive when you turn a 6-point advantage into a 40-point advantage in the space of 17 minutes. And Chinese Taipei, you know, they're going to look back and they're going to look at the stats, and it's, well, they gave up 59% and only 38% from Japan from the 3-point line, but they got those, the made threes anyway, in a bunch that broke the game open. You know, rebound-wise, they were dominated. 28 assists is a number from a coaching and a team perspective you're going to love. Now we had 18 and led scorers and led rebounders. I think she was padding her stats a little bit, but she was just exceptional. She gives this team some athleticism. And, well, they've announced themselves the defending champions. So it's going to be interesting to see how Australia come out in the next game and see how ready they are. But if you're a basketball fan, you're going to love watching Japan play wherever they play. That was just exceptional. And the fourth quarter best plays are going to be from a team in white. I mean, that was just exceptional. The way they shared the basketball, the way they spread the floor to create space, and they were just completely relentless. And that 28 assists is just that's not about poor defense from the Chinese Taipei. That's about the ability to share the basketball, and they've done that exceptionally well.
And that number 28 is the same in points, 28 points to 10 in that 4th period alone. They just dominated. They didn't even look like they took their game up to another level. They just kept on going, and I think it was Chinese Taipei in the end that sort of tired. So it's credit to their defensive pressure, their offensive pressure, that you can't fault them. You thought this might be the year they drop off, but they've proved us wrong, and they'll do it again and again and again.
Well, yeah, and while we're looking at these highlights, they've lost a couple of players from the Olympic, the team that did so well in the Olympics. Yes, they had a poor World Cup, but as we said during the game, that was possibly likely, and here's the table as it looks right now.
Japan on top, and you'd expect that to remain that way unless Australia can do something about it against the Philippines tonight. Chinese Taipei at the moment sitting second, but Australia, Philippines up next, 7:30 p.m. local time. That'll be a great battle to watch. So a comprehensive result for Japan. 41-point winners over Chinese Taipei. Australia, Philippines up next for you all to enjoy. So it was Japan's day at Sydney. They hunt for a 6th straight title. Begins with the win over Chinese Taipei. And stay tuned up next for Australia versus Philippines. It's been great having your company.